everybody, welcome to the Fibre Nerd podcast. My name is Allison Barnes, and I'm coming to you today from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where I live with my husband and my son and my 3 cats, Wicket, Cricket, and Kennedy. And they're wandering around the room right now and getting into mischief, and I have had to redo my intro a few times, so hopefully I'll be able to actually get through it and move along into important stuff. This is a podcast about knitting and hand-dyeing yarn and sewing and crafty things in general, and I have been away for a couple of weeks, so if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back, and if you are new, thanks for checking me out. Since I've been away for a couple weeks, I actually have a ton of stuff to talk about, but I'm only going to maybe talk about half of that stuff because then I will have something to talk about next week. Today is Monday, March 12th, and I've been away. I went on a trip to Mexico with my husband and my son. We don't get away very often, but we try to get away once a year. My husband has a very stressful and demanding job, and my schedule is generally pretty flexible because I am an independent dyer of yarn. So we went away about the first week of March, and right before we left, I wasn't able to podcast because we were leaving just a few days after that, and I was very busy getting ready for a market, which I completed this past weekend, the Curated Market in Edmonton, and it's a 2-day market, and they have it about 3 times a year at the Prince of Wales Armories, and it's always a fun time, and it's my favorite market to do. I'm also the only yarn dyer at that market, so it's a lot of fun talking and meeting fellow knitters and crocheters while I'm there. So right before we left, I decided that I was going to change my display completely. In the past, I had been using grid wall to hang yarn up on, and I really dislike setting up and taking down grid wall. It's heavy. I usually end up with bruises all over my arms from carrying the grid wall, and I always need help setting up and taking down the grid wall because of its weight. So I actually changed my display to wooden shelves that come apart and fold, and they're very light and much easier for me to set up and take down and move around. On the downside is the shelves are much bulkier and take up a lot more space, and so I needed 2 vehicles to move my display, whereas in the past I could use 1 vehicle. So I hired the help of a local service called Anthony at Your Service, and they employ people with challenges to drive and deliver and that sort of thing around the city of Edmonton. And I phoned them maybe a couple months before the market, looking to see if that was if helping me drive things to the market and help set up and bring things in and out and that sort of thing, to see if that would be something that they could do. And turns out that they could, and they were a very big help. So if you're in Edmonton and you ever need help with, say, you want to have a ride somewhere or deliver something somewhere in the city, I would recommend calling Anthony at Your Service and talking to Deborah, who is actually Anthony's mother. After the market, I'm quite busy, and as you can see, the shelves are empty behind me, but that's not for lack of yarn. The yarn is just still in my bins, and so that is something that I have to do over the course of today and tomorrow, when the shop will reopen, hopefully either later tonight or tomorrow in the morning sometime, because I know a lot of you have been waiting to get your orders in for the Fibre Fix, and the orders for the March colorway close at the end of the day on March 14th. So that doesn't give us a lot of time. So I really want to get the shop reopened as fast as I can so I have a lot of work to do. I'm just going to take a pause here so I can have a cup of coffee and make sure that things are recording well and the sound is good. Please forgive me if I do some sniffling or anything like that. I do feel like I might be catching a cold, but I have some little handwritten notes that I quickly wrote down before filming, and I wanted to make sure that I got through some of the things that I knew that I would forget, and I'm probably going to forget stuff anyway, even though I have things written down. There's going to be other things that I said, oh darn, why didn't I say that? So I'm just going to keep going, and because today's a busy day, I need to get it done. And I will probably have an interruption in a little while. I'm expecting somebody coming over soon. So let's get into finished objects. I am wearing a finished object. And if you don't know, this is the My Sister Shawl by Cozy Up Knits. And they did a mystery knit along that started in January. And although I didn't finish the knit along in time for their cutoff date, it took another couple weeks to get it done. Maybe a week, I can't remember. Get it done, ends woven in, blocked, and I had it finished at the end of February, and I've had the opportunity to wear it a few times, and I'm wearing it today, and I really love it. It is super long. It is very soft. It's my own hand-dyed yarn in the color kit called Vintage Family Room, and it's on my basic sock base. So a basic sock base isn't just for socks. You can use it for shawls. It's very soft. It blocks out wonderfully. And it has 3 colors in this set. It has shag carpet, etched mirror wall, and velvet Chesterfield. And I actually have one set left ready to ship once the shop reopens if you're interested in buying that set. I'm not going to take the shawl off because you guys have seen, I'm sure you watch podcasts, this is a very fun feature of the shawl, and it gave me a little bit of grief when I was doing the last section of that before I finished the shawl. So I guess now that's all. I'm just going to show you that one FO today. I have one more, but I'm going to save it for next week because I don't need to bombard you with a super long episode, and like I said, I have a lot to do today. So I'm just trying to remember where I put my next, oh, it's down here. So I'm going to show you a work in progress, and Cricket is here and she may jump up in front of the camera, I'm not sure. So this is my Prong Sock by Nicole Bracey. She designed this sock using my hand-dyed yarn. This is my basic sock base, and originally when I showed you this one, I thought I had grabbed one of my new, there's the cat, you're in the way, come on, down you go. I thought I had grabbed the one of my new colorways, and I'm still not totally convinced that it's not, because it looks quite green here, but when I had this sample at Curated Market this weekend, it looked a little bit more like Frickett's Cold instead of Sigh, which is what I thought I was knitting with. So I'm not sure. They're dyed in the same way. They're slightly different colors. Sigh is a mint green, and Frickett's Cold is an aqua, which is more blue. And I made one tiny mistake when I was knitting on the airplane. I didn't have the pattern in front of me. I thought I had memorized everything, and I was fine, except that I held the cable needle in the back instead of in the front when I did this part here. So just a little blip, but otherwise it's been a very enjoyable knit. I'm past the heel, I'm past my gusset decreases, and now I'm on the foot. Cricket, down. Oh boy, lots of interruptions today. I'm so sorry. So my tension isn't great on changing from the stockinette to the garter. Well, not garter, I guess. It's, what's it called when you're doing just purl stitches? I don't remember. But you do a whole bunch of purl stitches before you do the cable, right? So that the cable stands out. And you can see my tension here on these first stitches is a lot looser. And again, on this side after the cable, switching to the purl stitches, yeah, I just, as tight as I hold that first and second stitch, I just can't seem to get it to stay tight. So I'm hoping that with washing and blocking, well, I'm not technically going to block the socks. I don't want to stretch them out. I will wash them and then lay them flat to dry, and hopefully that will help the stitches kind of smoosh out and look better. But I am enjoying the knit. I am using a 9-inch circular needle on I think it's 2.7, it's a US 1.5, so that's a 2.5 millimeter needle. And these 9-inch circulars are actually more like 9.75 inches. So they're a little bit long for my taste, and the stitches stretch out a little bit. I didn't mind it for when I was going, picking up stitches from the heel and then doing the decreases, because there were a lot more stitches on the needles, but I don't enjoy it so much for just doing the leg or the foot. So I'm going to probably do my next pair of socks on my Chiagu 9-inch circulars, which are shorter, and the needle tips are shorter as well. I'm going to pause there. Okay, I think I just left off talking about my prong socks, and I didn't mention who the pattern designer is, I don't think. It is by Nicole Bracey, and she is Woolfield Studio on Instagram, and these are the socks. Very cool. And don't make this mistake like I did. I just wasn't paying attention to what side my cable needle was on. Okay, I'm going to move on to future knitting, because I did mention that I was going to be starting a sweater for my dad, and I got the yarn in the mail, and I don't think I showed it to you guys. I'm going to be using Knit Picks wool of the Andes Superwash, and does it say what color it is? No. Camel Heather. There you go. Camel Heather is probably, it might be backwards for you guys, I don't know. But I wanted a superwash wool, so that it would be easy care for my mom or my dad to launder his sweater. And I wanted something more natural or kind of semi-rustic. This is going to be a zip-up cardigan, and I've got, I think, 16 balls of this. And the pattern that I'm doing is the chicane sweater. Now, I am trying to see, okay, so the pattern is by Cookie A, and it is more of a unisex styling. The picture I have printed out is not very good. I was running out of ink on my printer. But I'll show you here. It has these really interesting sleeve details and then a long rib section. And my dad actually really liked that. He chose the pattern. I showed a couple of options and he chose that one. So I'll probably be starting swatching for his sweater this week. That's what I'm hoping anyway. The pattern is worked flat, and then you seam the pieces together. So that'll make it easier for carrying it around. I won't have to hold up a big sweater while I'm trying to knit in a round or that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to getting that on my needles. I'll keep you guys posted how I do. And so I'm just checking my notes again because I have to. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is this shawl right here. This is the Sunshowers Shawl by Ines Sang, and I was so happy when she said she would send it to me in the mail so that I could use it as a sample at my booth for my spring market. So this is the shawl. She designed it using my basic sock yarn in two of my new spring colors, Tiptoe, which is the yellow one, and Hush is blue. I think it's Hush. I can't remember. Tiptoe and Hush, I believe. And so yeah, it's this, the sun part is this, and then the clouds and rain is the blue. And both of these colors are dyed in a similar fashion as my Whisper colorway and Frick It's Cold. So I now have 6 colors dyed in this similar way, and they all knit up in this very subtly speckled fashion, and I think it's beautiful. So we're actually going to have a knit along, a KAL, for this pattern, and we're going to start the KAL right after Easter, so April the 3rd, and we're going to have it run for 2 months because I did not like being rushed in my mystery knit along. I like to take my time knitting, and I don't always like to knit on the same thing every day. So I'm going to give you guys 2 months to complete your shawl. The only requirement is that you knit this pattern, the Sunshowers Shawl by Ines Sang. So you can download that from her Ravelry shop right now, and you can use any yarn. You don't have to use my hand-dyed yarn, but if you want to, I will have these colors in the shop on Wednesday evening. That's my next stocking. And let's see, because the 3rd of June is a Sunday, I will draw winners on Monday the 4th, which is podcast day, so I can do it live for you here. Well, not live, but recorded. I can do it on the podcast, and the winners will be drawn from the finished object thread in my Ravelry group. So you need to go to Ravelry under groups, look for Allison Barnes Yarnies, and join the group. And I will put a new post there for the Sunshowers Shawl knit along, and I'll have a chatter thread, and then later on I will have a finished objects thread, and I will be drawing a winner from the finished objects thread. And I haven't decided what I want to give as a prize yet. Probably some hand-dyed yarn, but if you were at all interested in donating a prize to the KAL, that would be wonderful. Send me a message on Instagram, or you can email me at allisonbarnescollection@gmail.com, and we can arrange that together. It would be a lot of fun if I could offer more than one prize. So yes, if you're interested, please let me know. Okay. Some more rules for the Sunshowers Shawl knit along. You can have a whip because we're not starting until after Easter, April 3rd. If you've already started knitting this shawl, or you want to start before the official cast on date, you can. Whips are allowed. You can double dip, so if you want to do another KAL that somebody else is doing a KAL, and you can knit this shawl at the same time for the KAL, why not? Go for it. And I already said that these colors will be in the shop on Wednesday, as well as some other new colors. You can use any colors you want. You can use stash yarn, you can go buy some yarn. I'm planning to use stash yarn. I haven't selected my colors yet. I have an idea of what I want to do. I'm thinking of doing something with maybe a little bit more contrast. I'm thinking of doing something in pinks or purples because that's my jam. And I'll probably show off my choices right before the KAL starts. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. I think I've gotten through everything that I really needed to say about the KAL. If you have questions, you can ask them in the group, Allison Barnes Yarnies on Ravelry. I think I was going to show you some yarn that's stocking this week, but they're all packed up in my boxes still. So I'm just going to maybe mention some of the colors that are going to be in. Of course, these 2 colors are going to be in the shop update on Wednesday, March 14th at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But I will also have the green speckle, which is called Sigh, and the purple speckle, which is called Murmur. I will have some neon pink and neon yellow. The yellow is called Scrunchy. No. Yeah, is it Scrunchy? I have one here, but I can't see the name. They're called Scrunchy and Leg Warmers, and I can't remember which one is which because I don't have the labels facing me, and they're both bright neons, and they're both awesome. I will have those on my basic sock base and my single ply worsted weight base, and I will also have the neon yellow on a mohair lace weight. I have some lace weight mohair in the colors Eggplant, Spruce Tree, Pink Champagne, and Earl Grey. No, not Earl Grey. What's it called? London Fog. That's the one. London Fog. And that's all I can remember. Everything's packed up. I should show you guys. I'm going to turn this camera around. So guys, these are my bins from the market. I have to unpack them all. My whole studio is in quite a state. I'll just back up and show you. This is my studio right now, and it's ridiculous. I have to unpack everything, all of the yarn in these bins. I think there's like 10 bins, and put them back on the shelves. This is where I podcast from. I sit on the stool with a little cushion on it, and this box holds up my iPad, and I'm keeping the curtains closed today because it's just too bright. And this is my little shipping station in my studio. Oh, I guess we're doing a whole tour today. And this is my personal stash in this shelf right here. See, I like pinks and purples. So there you go, guys. Well, that's it for this week, guys. I know it was a bit rambly, and I did a little impromptu studio tour, but I hope that next week I can be a little bit more organized. I can get the yarn back on the shelves, and I'll be back dyeing, so things will be all back to normal. And don't forget to sign up for the Fibre Fix. Anything else? Nope. Okay, that's all. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.